Hi, I'm Amanda Dolan, editor at WEGO Health.
And I'm Colin DeMattis. I'm a TV and editorial intern here at WEGO Health.
And we want to thank you so much for watching our Health Activist How-To video.
That's right. Today we're going to be going through the step-by-step process of making a video, starting with choosing a topic and deciding what content you want to include, all the way through to recording and editing in the final process. So let's get into it.
So first up, we're going to talk a little bit about choosing a topic for your video and how to best present that topic. So first up, I would say health activists, pick a topic that is important to you, something that inspires you, that you're passionate about, just as you would in your blog or other health community.
Right, and if you're comfortable with it, then great. If you're not, then maybe that's a sign you actually should be talking about it more. A lot of great video content comes from people discussing topics that they might not be comfortable with. So if you see there's a gap or there's a void where people should be discussing an issue that's important to you, feel free to go ahead and fill it. Put your own video on there. But don't do it if you don't want to. If you're uncomfortable, you don't have to do it at all.
That's true, especially when starting out. And I would say once you pick that topic, really try to stick to it. Because unlike with a blog or other online community, you can't throw in a graphic or a hyperlink. So it's really just you and the camera, so you want to stick to that one topic you chose.
Yeah, try and make your videos between 3 and 5 minutes. Keep it short, discuss a single topic. And when you're doing that, try and write for the ear if you're going to plan your script ahead of time. That means be more conversational. Try and keep things less formal. Think, if you're writing an email to a friend, use that type of tone, but try and put some educational information in there as well.
Great ideas. And feel free to use quotes just as you would in a blog. You can say, so-and-so said this, and you can even feel free to read it so you get the quote exactly right, and cite your source, say who said it originally, and yeah.
Yep. And try not to script yourself too much. You want to create an outline with different topics on it. And you want to be so well educated on those topics that when you see that heading, you know exactly what information people that are watching your video need to hear first and foremost. You need to be the expert on your own story. This is what people that are watching the video are going to expect from you.
That's true. And if you read a script, it looks very... People will be able to tell, even if you paste it against the wall right behind the camera. So do practice a few times, but don't feel that you need to memorize what you're going to say, because then you'll sound less and less natural, and that's not fun to watch.
Yep, it'll be too rehearsed and sound kind of robotic.
That's true. So next up, let's talk about creating that very first video and very first blog. I would say a great first video is just an introduction video to you. Talk a little bit about who you are, what you're passionate about, and why you want to tell your story.
Yeah, give the audience a little bit of an introduction into who you are, kind of get a feel for your voice, and, you know, just kind of get in and see if you would want to keep doing videos. It's your first try. But introduce yourself and then get into whatever topic you want to discuss.
Another great idea for a topic in video is grabbing something that has been popular on your blog or health community. If it's something that you've talked about elsewhere, it's probably something that you feel comfortable with and something that's exciting to you. So I would say go for that.
Yeah, feel free to borrow from a discussion you've already been having on your blog or from something within the community. It's just another way that you can kind of engage in discussion and conversation, except through video instead of on your blog.
Yep, and be sure to give examples in your video. Just like when you're writing, you need to substantiate points that you're making.
Yeah, make sure that you actually give specific examples of what you're talking about. Don't use broad generalities. I know that's a generality to say that, but try to avoid them. Be as specific as possible.
And just as you would on your blog, feel free to address questions that you've seen around the web and just show that you're a learner and you're trying to navigate healthcare just as everyone else who will be watching.
Yeah, that's another great way to kind of engage in conversation. Just if you have a question, feel free to make a video about it or include it in there. If there's something you don't understand, make a video about it and maybe someone will respond.
That's true. All right, let's talk about what makes a really great video. Video watching is what most people are doing on the web these days, and as we've seen in our own community, health activists are starting to use video for their health. So let's talk about what makes a video fun to watch and worth sharing.
All right, well, a good video should always add something to a discussion, something to a different perspective. It's got to have a reason to be there. And on top of that, you want your videos to convey emotion. Video is great for showing tone of voice and the way a person actually feels about something in a way that might not come through in your blog.
It's true. You've probably run into this, like I have in writing, where you're not conveying exactly what you want to say because it's written down. With video, you can show that you're excited or that you're sad or that this is really important to you, and you might as well take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier because we can actually see your face and what's going on.
And hear your tone of voice out loud. Mm-hmm. So I would also say, and health activists, you're great at this already, but be honest and speak from experience. The reason why you're a health activist is because you have a unique story and you want to help people. So go with that. You're already doing it elsewhere on the web. Use video to do that in a new way.
Right, but make sure you always give a frame of reference or context for your discussion. If you're embedding a video in a blog, that context is pretty much already there, but if you're putting it someplace else, you might need to include a little bit of information about what you're discussing, or maybe even include some links to your blog or previous videos for people who haven't seen you before to understand what you're talking about.
That's true. Don't be so personal that a new audience member won't know what you're talking about. Be sure to draw connections to other posts and just put it in a frame of reference, like Colin said. And as always, just be humble and show that you're a learner too, and you don't have to come across as an expert. None of us are doctors here, and we have disclaimers on our blog for that, so feel free to present that same, just speaking from experience, I'm a patient too, perspective.
Yeah, make sure that your tone matches the content. If you're discussing something serious, then by all means have a serious blog, but if it's something with a little bit more lightheartedness to it, then you can be a little bit lighthearted in the video. It all depends on context, of course.
That's true. Just like in your community, if you're talking about something serious, I know a lot of you like to throw in humor or stories that don't have to do with your health, and feel free to do that just as you would, but in a video. And of course, if you have cute things around, like puppies, babies, or I don't know, certain props, feel free to throw those in as well, and that makes for an exciting video to watch as well. Okay, now that you've chosen a topic and you're ready to record your first video, you gotta actually set it up and create yourself a video shoot and look and sound your best. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Right, well, the first thing you want to consider is your background. Right here you see we kind of have these exposed bricks.
Rustic.
Very rustic, and it's very pleasant. You don't want a background that's going to be too distracting, so something outside with a lot of people walking around, that can be distracting. But at the same time, a blank white wall can just be too sterile and kind of off-putting.
That's true. You want to have something pleasant. So if you're recording from your home, just sit in the living room. You can have fresh cut flowers if you want. Just make sure you don't have a portrait behind you or something distracting. We've all seen a newscast where someone obstructs the screen and you end up watching that person instead. It makes a great outtake on YouTube, but it doesn't make the person speaking look so great.
Right, and you also want to think about lighting when you're preparing to do your video. Think about where the light's coming from. Like in this room where we are right now, we have light coming down from above us, and we also have a light off to the side. So that means that we don't have a lot of really strong shadows. If, however, we just had light coming down, we would have strong shadows around our eyes, or if we had light coming from one side, half of our face would be in shadow. Just keep an eye out for really strong shadows. Also, make sure that you don't record in front of a window, because that creates a silhouette effect, unless you're going for that.
Which, if you want to add drama to your video, you could try it out. Something else that I would say is just practice and learn your angles. Learn which way you feel most comfortable on camera. You don't have to make yourself fancy. You look great. Don't be shy, health activists, but do practice and see which part of your face makes you feel most comfortable about yourself. You want to feel good about the video that you're making, and you don't want to be too critical. So practice makes perfect, and ask someone else for tips if you need help with how to look on video.
Right, but you also want to sound good on video too. So for that, you want to put yourself somewhere where there's not too much background noise, and that includes being outside. Because when you're outside, yes, it's very nice if it's a sunny day, but there might be too many things going on in the background. Maybe someone starts mowing a lawn in the middle of your video. These are just things that you can't control with the sound. So also be aware of appliances or air conditioners, refrigerators, dishwashers, anything that may turn on in the background and distract people from the actual video as well.
Yeah, if you've ever been on a phone call with someone on your cell phone, sometimes you can hear background over their voice, and that could happen even if you think you're not hearing a sound. It could come through on the microphone and obstruct your voice. So
that's right. And to start out, just as a technical note, the camera and the microphone that come preloaded with most laptops or some computers, those are totally fine to start out. The only problem is that once you kind of get into recording videos often, you might want to upgrade to a higher quality external camera, because on laptops the power for the microphone, the camera, and the recording software is all coming out of the same place, which can decrease the quality. If you have an external camera and an external microphone, then the power is coming from somewhere else, it will be cleaner, it will look nicer, it just kind of ups the quality, makes it look a little bit more professional. But if you don't want to invest in that yet, feel free to use those basic preloaded cameras and microphones.
Great tips. And lastly about this, just enjoy your time on the camera. It'll come across. If you're having fun or if you're being emotional and being real about your topic, it'll convey to your audience. Just act as you're having a conversation with a friend and it'll come across great. And when you're actually recording and the red light is on, there are some things you might want to keep in the back of your mind to make a great video. So let's talk about that.
Right. There's some things you might want to be aware of, like your posture, if it changes, if you happen to be slouching, if you start fidgeting with something, if you're waving your hands all over the place, that can be distracting, if you move out of frame. And then, of course, there's always if you just mess up. If you say something incorrectly, if you forget what you're going to talk about, that's no big deal. Don't be afraid to mess up what you're saying. You can edit it out if you have that software, you can record a different take, and you don't even have to post that video online in the first place. Don't be afraid of screwing up. It's going to happen.
That's true, it will. And just be comfortable and have a good time. And if you mess up, just try again. It's the great thing about video that you can always try again and delete over it or save it for your blooper reel if you have one. So you mentioned a little bit about editing. Why don't you talk a little bit more about that?
Right, so once you've planned and recorded your video and it's sitting there on your computer, you have a few options for what you can do with it. If you did a great take and you don't want to edit it at all, it's done. You can post it to your blog, or you can submit it to WEGO Health TV, where we'll edit it together and give it back to you so you can post it on your blog, and it's entirely yours. Otherwise, if you want to edit it yourself, there's a couple free or cheap programs that you can use. If you have a Windows PC, you can get Windows Movie Maker, which is simple and easy to use. If you have a Mac, it probably came preloaded with iMovie. Both of these are pretty easy to pick up and figure out. And if you need any help, there's a lot of tutorials online on ways to really get into the editing software and do some more complex stuff.
Yep. And as with everything else in life, practice really does make perfect. Maybe not even perfect, but practice will make you better, and you'll feel better about your videos, they'll look better, and you'll get to fall into stride with what your community is looking for out of videos. So the more you practice and edit and just try things out, the better you'll feel.
Yeah, and try and be aware of the conversations that are happening around your video and the ones that you're submitting your video to try and bring more perspective into. If you watch the comments and the responses, it'll give you an idea of what people are looking forward to or what you did well, what can be improved upon. However, that being said, if you post somewhere besides WEGO Health TV or your own blog, let's say you post it on YouTube, you might want to turn off comments or develop a thick skin, because some people say a lot of mean things on there.
Yeah, we've all read YouTube comments. Yikes. So starting out, if you want to feel confident and good about your vlog, don't open up the comments, just in case someone might come across mean. It's a risk, and a good video is about taking risks. So just gauge it and whatever feels best for you. And lastly, try again. You're going to make a great video. You're an awesome health activist and you have a unique story to tell, and people want to hear it. Personally, I can't wait to watch what you come up with and hope that you'll submit it over to our production team at WEGO Health TV, or just post it on your blog and share it with us.
Right, and as always, if you have any questions, you can feel free to email us at editorial@wegohealth.com.
Yep, and thank you so much for watching. We can't wait to see your videos. Happy recording.